Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne and I'm a Chinese metaphysics master in Hong Kong. Today I'm going to talk about the last one of the extreme charts that I've been talking about for the past few weeks. There are certain extreme charts in Bazi Astrology that show an extreme elemental imbalance. Now, usually we don't like to see extreme elemental imbalances in a Bazi chart because that can lead to accidents or loss of money or health issues. But then there are charts that are so extreme that it can turn back into a positive, or at least in certain aspects in life, it turns into a positive. And so this is what this entire series about Bazi extreme charts was all about. Now, today I'm talking about the dual God charts. So that's the last one of those extreme charts that we're going to look into. Now, the dual God charts, there are two different types. There is a dueling God chart and a dual God chart. And I know it's a little bit confusing, but don't worry, I'll explain later what that means. Now, people who have these type of charts, people who have the dual God charts, they tend to be very, very good in two very clear and succinct aspects in life or industries more precisely. So, for example, there are people who can rise to extreme success in a fire industry and also in a metal industry, for example. Now, the topic of extreme charts is a little bit of an advanced topic. So you may have to go over some of the basics in some of my previous videos to understand this. I do try to keep it as simple as possible. But generally speaking, extreme charts, dual God charts, belong to people who have a strong affinity with two particular elements and can therefore thrive and succeed in those two aspects of life or industries or professions, right? So this is what the dual gods chart are. Now, as I mentioned, there are two different types of dual god charts. One is called the dueling gods, and the other one is called the dual gods. So the dueling structures consist of elements that are countering each other, right? So when you see a chart like this here on the screen, it becomes very obvious that basically there's just two elements there in the chart. On top, all you see is metal here, and at the bottom, all you see is wood. So there's no other elements at all. It's just metal and wood, right? So water is missing, fire is missing, and earth is totally missing. So clearly, this is an imbalance chart. Now, with an imbalanced chart, immediately we realize that, certain aspects in life are probably missing or you will feel not fulfilled in. And we tend to not like to see these types of charts. However, in this particular case, this person can be very successful in anything to do with metal industries, metal professions, and also very, very successful in sort of wood professions or wood industries, right? So that obviously can lead to a lot of success. Now, from a health perspective, this is obviously not so great because every aspect that is represented by fire, water, and earth will be lacking. So health-wise, this is not great, but professionally speaking, you can be very successful. Now, a dueling structure means that the chart consists of two elements that are countering each other. So in this particular case, it's metal countering wood. Yeah, metal countering wood here. Basically, metal chops wood. Therefore, it's a countering relationship. Let me use a red pen. That's easier to see. So metal counters wood. If you have fire and metal, only fire and metal in the chart, fire melts metal. Therefore, fire is countering metal. So it's dueling with the metal element. If you have a chart that is just water and fire, again, a dueling structure because water extinguishes fire. Water can kill fire. If you have earth and water only, again, a dueling structure. Earth reigns in water, right? If you look at the lake, for example, a lake only exists because on all sides it's surrounded by earth. Otherwise, the water would just spill over. Therefore, earth is countering water. And then if you have a chart that only consists of wood and earth, that is also dueling structure because wood counters earth. If you imagine a big tree and the roots of that tree is just pushing away the earth, right? So the wood is actually countering the earth. So this is why it's called a dueling structure. Yeah, there's a countering relationship between those elements. Now, we also have dual God charts. This is where two elements, again, are predominant, but they are not in a countering relationship. They are actually producing each other. So in this chart here, again, you see it's basically fire and earth. We're not really all that concerned with the wood element that you see here. This he wood here doesn't really matter, huh? Because that is so weak. It doesn't really have any influence. So this entire chart is basically fire and earth. However, this is a dual God chart because fire produces earth. Yeah, fire produces earth in each of these pillars. So this is a fire and earth dual God structure. Now you can also have earth metal dual God. Earth produces metal. Yeah, all the metal that we have is essentially grown inside the earth. That's why earth produces metal. Metal produces water because once you take the metal out of the earth and expose it to the air for the first time, you see condensation on the metal, on the surface of the metal. Therefore, we say metal produces water. Water produces wood because clearly we need wood in order for trees and flowers and bushes and just greenery and vegetation to thrive. And wood produces fire because in the old times we needed wood to produce a fire, right? So this is actually a harmonious relationship. So even though the meaning of these dual God structures are the same, in either case, the person will do very, very well in the two industries or the two professions that are represented by these two elements. The structure is named differently depending on whether you have a harmonious relationship between those elements or whether you have an acrimonious relationship between those two elements. Yeah, but the meaning is the same. You are successful in two industries, two professions. Now, these structures are extremely rare. Yeah, you don't see them very often at all. They're very, very rare. And they do produce outstanding individuals who can really thrive in industries that may be totally opposite of each other, right? But usually health is not great. Relationships are usually also suffering. So it's all about making money at the expense of everything else, right? So this is essentially the meaning of these of this type of extreme chart. All right. So I hope this was understandable, even for those who are just Bazi beginners. Again, extreme charts are very rare to find, so I don't think you're going to see this very often, but just in case you do, this is how you interpret it. Now, take a look at your own chart. Let me know. Maybe you are one of those rare individuals who has an extreme chart, who has a dual God chart. Let us know in the comments and let us know how this actually manifests in your life if you have this. And also, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with anybody who may be interested so we can grow this community. All right. Thank you, guys, and I will see you soon.